Welcome to Korean Cinema Channel. Today I would like to send you the following news. It was a sunlit afternoon, the kind of day when the sky feels impossibly wide and the breeze carries with it the promise of something new. Friends had carefully planned an outdoor camping trip, but no one could have predicted that fate would weave its thread so tightly between Long and Yang Miemie. Long, determined and focused, crouched down to set up the tent. His hands worked steadily, but he failed to notice the loose rope lying at his feet, a small trap waiting to betray him. In a heartbeat, his balance wavered. Just as gravity threatened to claim him, a hand shot forward with startling speed. Yang Miemie's grip was firm, steady, and unyielding, pulling him back from the brink of an embarrassing fall for a fleeting second. Time itself seemed to stall. Long's gaze lifted and locked onto hers. In her eyes, there was no judgment, only concern, gentle, unspoken, and disarming. The sight struck him like a stone cast into the still surface of a lake, sending ripples through a heart that had, until now, remained calm and guarded. Yang Miemie, meanwhile, noticed the mixture of gratitude and bashful awkwardness etched across his face. The corners of her lips curved upward into a smile so radiant, so effortless, that it seemed to light the very air between them. It was in that smile, in that moment, that something fragile yet powerful took root. An unspoken promise, a seed of affection, buried deep within both hearts. And though neither dared to voice it, both understood. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with thunder, but with a quiet stumble and a hand that refuses to let you fall. Night draped itself gently over the campsite, the sky transformed into a vast canvas of midnight blue, dotted with stars that shimmered like scattered diamonds. The bonfire crackled and roared, painting everyone's faces with a warm, golden glow. Around it, laughter and music rose and fell in waves, weaving a melody of friendship and joy. Long sat among the group, his heart beating faster with every passing second. The light of the flames danced across Yang Miemie's profile, illuminating the softness of her smile and the quiet sparkle in her eyes. Summoning his courage, he shifted ever so slightly closer, until their shoulders nearly brushed. "Have I ever told you," he began, voice pitched just above the playful singing around them, "about the time I hiked into the mountains and nearly got caught in a storm?" His tone was lively, teasing, a careful blend of humor and suspense. Yang Miemie turned her head toward him, her interest immediately piqued. "No," she said softly, the corners of her lips curving upward. "But now you have to," as Long recounted tales of daring climbs, unexpected twists, and near disasters that ended in laughter. She leaned in, her laughter blending with his, her eyes following the rise and fall of his expressions. The world beyond the circle of firelight seemed to dissolve, leaving only the warmth of the flames and a subtle pull drawing them closer in the fragile, star-drenched night. Between stories and shared smiles, something quietly shifted. It wasn't the fire that burned brightest, but the spark flickering between two hearts. Yang Miemie listened as though spellbound, her bright eyes reflecting the firelight and the shimmer of distant stars. Each twist in Long's story drew her deeper in, her laughter, clear and melodious, like silver bells, spilled freely into the night, blending with the crackle of the flames. The sound lingered in the quiet air, leaving an aftertaste of sweetness that Long secretly wished would never fade. But the conversation soon drifted beyond his tales of daring adventures. As though guided by an invisible current, they began speaking of books they cherished, words that had once kept them company in solitude. Yang Miemie's voice softened as she recited a favorite line, her expression touched by the weight of memory. Long found himself hanging on every syllable, his heart stirred not only by her words but by the way she carried them, with reverence, with warmth, with a soul that felt achingly familiar. In turn, he shared the music that had shaped his restless journeys, the notes that steadied him on lonely roads, the rhythms that mirrored his heartbeat on sleepless nights. To his surprise, she nodded eagerly, her own stories flowing seamlessly into his. The books, the music, the laughter, each thread intertwined until they formed a tapestry that felt timeless, as though they were not strangers meeting by chance, but two old friends rediscovering each other after years apart. The others faded into the background, their songs and chatter dissolving into a blur. For Long and Yang Miemie, there was only this circle of warmth, this unbroken exchange, and the realization that they were no longer speaking just to pass the time. They were speaking to remember, to connect, and perhaps, to begin. Since that unforgettable night of laughter and starlight, Long and Yang Miemie grew inseparable. What began as a spark by the fire slowly blossomed into a rhythm of togetherness that neither could deny. They became each other's favorite companion, discovering the beauty of life hand in hand. At dawn, they would climb to the mountain's crest, waiting side by side as the horizon blushed from deep indigo to blazing gold. Sometimes they stood in silence, sometimes they shared whispered thoughts, but always their hearts seemed to rise with the sun. Later, in the bustling veins of the city, they wandered through narrow alleys alive with chatter and color, savoring the pulse of everyday life. And in the soft glow of hidden cafes or cozy street-side stalls, they tasted unfamiliar dishes together, laughing over spilled soup or arguing playfully over the last bite, turning simple meals into unforgettable memories. Long, with his steady presence, became her guardian in spirit. Whenever shadows crossed her expression, he would chase them away with a poorly timed joke, a small trinket wrapped clumsily in paper, or simply a stubborn determination to make her smile again. His devotion was quiet, but unwavering. Miemie, in turn, was his safe harbor. She reminded him to eat when he forgot, to carry a scarf when the air turned cold, to rest when his endless energy threatened to burn him out. Her care was gentle yet firm, wrapping around his days like invisible threads of warmth. Together, they built a world both fragile and strong, a bond not born of grand gestures, but of countless little moments stitched seamlessly together. And in those moments, they discovered that love isn't found, it's made, day by day, hand in hand. It happened one winter afternoon, when Yang Miemie fell ill. Her usual lively spirit was dimmed, her body frail and weak as she lay curled beneath her blankets. The news reached Long, and in that instant, the world seemed to stop. He dropped everything, unfinished work, unanswered calls, and rushed to her side, his heart pounding with a singular urgency. She needed him at the hospital. He moved with quiet determination, his tall figure weaving through crowded hallways. He registered her name, fetched prescriptions, carried bags of medicine with hands that trembled only when no one was watching. Every small step was executed with painstaking care, as if by being precise, he could shield her from further suffering. When she was confined to bed, Long became her constant shadow. Each day he prepared simple, nourishing meals, clear soups, soft porridge, dishes crafted not for taste but for healing. He carried them to her bedside himself, setting the tray down with a gentleness that spoke louder than words. Comfort into every syllable, chasing away the shadows of pain and fear. And when Yang Miemie's strength finally returned, she lifted her gaze to him, this man who had run himself ragged for her, yet never once complained. Gratitude swelled in her chest, but it was more than gratitude. It was warmth, trust, and a profound certainty that took root deep in her heart. In that moment, she knew, Long wasn't just by her side, he was the one she wanted by her side for a lifetime. Thank you for watching my channel. See you in the next videos. Thanks.